Sometimes rejection stayed with us longer than we expected. Not because someone said no, but because of the meaning our mind quietly starts attaching to that no. Rejection is one of the experiences everyone goes through, but honestly speaking, very few people talk about it. Not the motivational version, not the rejection makes you stronger version, but the real moment. The quiet moment after it happens. When you read the email, or finish the meeting, or even hear the words like, we have decided to go in another direction, and suddenly something shifts inside. Not just disappointment, but doubt. Welcome to Lead Your Path, a podcast about inner side of leadership. I'm your host Swagata Palharia, and here we explore the mindset shift that shape how we perform, grow and lead. Today we are talking about rejection, but not in a usual way we think about. Because rejection rarely hurts because someone said no. It hurts because of the story we attach to it. I want to share something from my own experience. Some time ago, I interviewed with a company I was genuinely excited about. I remember preparing really well for the conversation, thinking through the role, the expectation, how could I contribute. And somewhere during that entire process, I realized that I already started imagining working there, the role, the team, the possibilities. But eventually, the response came back. They decided to move ahead with someone else. Now, logically thinking, I understood that these things happen. But interestingly, the feeling of that rejection stayed with me for days. And that's when I started reflecting on something very important. The discomfort wasn't about the rejection itself, it was about the attachment I had created to the outcome. Somewhere along the way, the possibility had quietly turned into expectation. And when that expectation broke, the rejection started to feel personal. And that's when I realized something. Rejection often hurts not because someone said no, but because the meaning we attach to that no. Our mind immediately begins filling in the gaps. Maybe I wasn't convincing enough. Maybe they didn't see my value. Maybe I misread the situation. The rejection itself may last for a few seconds, but the story we build around it can stay with us for days. For high performers, this can even feel heavier because performance slowly becomes connected to identity. When things go well, we feel validated. Our confidence expands, our work feels meaningful. But when something doesn't work out, it quietly starts questioning who we are. And that's where rejection stops being professional and starts feeling personal. But something interesting happens as people grow into stronger leadership. They learn to separate three things: the outcome, feedback, and their identity. The outcome may not go your way, the feedback may contain something useful, but neither of these things define who you are. And when that separation becomes clear, rejection begins to feel lighter. It's not easy, but lighter because it stops feeling like judgment and starts becoming information. Instead of asking, why was I rejected? Try asking a slightly different question. What is the experience trying to show me? Sometimes the answer will be about skills, sometimes about communication, sometimes simply about timings. But when you approach rejection with curiosity instead of self judgment, it becomes a source of growth instead of emotional weight. So, next time something doesn't go your way, just take a pause before turning it into a story about yourself. Because rejection rarely defines your path, your response to it definitely does. And sometimes the most powerful shift is simply this: understanding that someone else's no does not reduce your value, it only redirects your journey. Until next time, keep leading your path.